Um, I just want to say thank you for reaching out to me. Thank you for thinking of doing something that you want to do, because I think final year projects needs to be curated based on your personal interest. And I
Yes.
think that is an opportunity for you to develop your voice, develop your critical thinking about a particular area that you feel very passionate about, right? So
Yeah.
if you felt passionately about a particular topic and you find a way to speak about that topic through your final year project, you are inadvertently developing your own voice, your own opinion, your own position, uh,
Mm-hmm.
that can allow you to make social commentary about that topic. But how we do this, how we approach this is we don't just simply speak about it, we use the work of literature as a way to draw attention to those ideas. Say for instance, you are interested in cyberbullying. You find maybe you find a novel about cyberbullying, and you use that novel to discuss the issue of cyberbullying, how the character experiences cyberbullying, how the character overcomes cyberbullying. So you can do that. That means you can still discuss the same thing you are interested in, but
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing a qualitative study where you send out surveys, you interview your classmates, you do questionnaires, instead of doing that, instead of doing a sociological study, you do a literary study. That means you study the theme of cyberbullying in narratives, in stories, basically,
All right.
right?
Okay.
So basically, the world is your oyster. You can study anything, but we approach it in a scientific fashion. We are social scientists at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
We approach it in a scientific fashion. What does that mean? It means the methodology must be objective. It cannot be whatever I feel like saying about this work, I want to say. No. You need to have a methodology, and that methodology comes from um, the theory in the discipline. Maybe you can look at psychology, child development theories that help us understand how cyberbullying affects the individual's sense of identity, right? That comes
Mm-hmm.
from the theory of child development, educational development, psychology, and all that. So that is where the theory comes in. But I will help you with that. But right now, it all depends on what you are interested in. But the minute we say what am I interested in, you will find that, oh my gosh, I'm interested in so many different things, right?
Yeah.
And that can be the tricky part. That can be a
Mm-hmm.
bit of a challenge, because if you're interested in so many things, you need to decide, narrow the focus, decide, and say, look, I'm interested in so many things, but for this research, I'm just going to work on this one component and this one novel or this one film or this one collection of stories or this one song or this one. The text would be another aspect. The
Mm-hmm.
issue that you are interested in is another aspect.
Yes.
Okay, so for now, I just want to hear your thoughts. I will take down notes and ideas. So right now, you're just doing a consultation. So I'm just listening
Yes.
to you. And based on that, I will ask you questions. And based on that, hopefully by the end of this week or by next week, we would have narrowed the focus or the scope of study. So right now, it's just the scope. We're not talking
Mm-hmm.
about objectives, research questions, statement of problem, all that. We're just talking about the scope of study or your focus. Okay,
Okay.
now it's your turn to talk. What are you interested in?
Okay. Before I start, when I was having a problem with, I've always wanted to do research on cyberbullying, but I've never even thought about in the literature. point of view until you elaborated it. So thank you for that. So maybe I will still put cyberbullying as my main interest, because seeing how we as Malaysia react to cyberbullying got me thinking, like, there is more to just this kind of thinking and that kind of whatever, how to say that, the group they put people in, like, oh, if you're in this group, you're just, you know, just one or two effect of cyberbullying. But actually there's more than one effect, and I want to really look at how cyberbullying, affect a person, and how each decision of what a person does. Yeah, like, I just want to, in a way, when I write my final year project, I also, to my readers, on whoever, might read my thesis or my short final year project, I want them to be more understanding, like, oh, I didn't know that cyberbullying could, maybe in this novel or whatever, I didn't know that it could cause them to be like this, and I didn't know that cyberbullying could be this traumatic or this bad. And hopefully it would not only put my voice there or my opinion about that thing, but also to maybe spread more awareness about cyberbullying and what it does to someone's mental health.
Mm.
Yeah. So I really want to, I have this strong, not really opinions, but yeah, something, I have a gut feeling saying, why don't you talk about, why don't you do research on cyberbullying? Yeah, because it would be an interesting topic to do research on. And also it'd be interesting to, if I find, if there's novels or like film talking about it, it'll be interesting to see the character development and to see the side characters, in maybe like the supporting side characters react to, or how they help the main character going through it, or how the other people in the story would react to it. Yeah, so that
As
is what I am thinking of at the moment.
Brilliant. As you're talking, I was googling for those ideas. So I was googling. Can you see the page now?
Yes, I can.
So I was googling cyberbullying in fiction, and I came across this website. Books on cyberbullying,
Bullying.
and so what is cyberbullying? Of course, yeah. and
Mm-hmm.
and this is just one website, obviously. So you've got
Mm-hmm.
books that are age appropriate. So you've got books for primary school readers, books for secondary school readers. So basically, you've definitely have a topic there that you can explore. You can look
Mm-hmm.
at cyberbullying in novels. Okay, so you kind of narrow the scope. You further narrow your scope in order to find the right kind of the suitable text that allows you to speak about the things that you are passionate about. I find Chrome a better search engine. So
Yeah.
uh, okay, definitely this is for later. All right, this one. So you want to look at YA, young adult works. Okay. So this particular, I'll share the links later, or you can even Google yourself now. So some of the books they recommend include Backlash by Sarah Littman, Scandal by Sarah Ockler, Boar
Mm-hmm.
Island, Random, Identity Crisis, Body and Bone, Jackal's Mirror. Now, these are just limited. These are just a start.
Mm-hmm.
So questions will come up. What is the story about? Because you mentioned some things, and I like that very much. I like it when the researcher, i.e., yourself, I like it when the researcher is motivated by certain instinctual ideas. You know that you have a gut. You use the word. I have a gut feeling about this. I like that very much because I think someone who is attuned to their inner voice, to your gut instinct, someone who is attuned to your inner voice, you have a stronger guidance from within you. And that inner voice, if you sharpen it and you meditate on it and you hone on it, will guide you to discover something original, something new, something other people have not thought about. So that is actually plus point in my book. That's a plus point. Somebody who is able to be guided by their instinctual voice, by the inner voice. I think they can go further because they are able to chart territories that other people would not have considered. They tend to take the road less traveled, right? Like Robert Frost says in his poem.
Yeah.
So I like that very much, and I think you need to follow that, see where that takes you, but follow that with a scientific mind in mind, rather
Yeah.
than follow it as an artist. So sometimes when you follow it as an artist, it just goes meandering any which way. But
Mm.
because this is an academic exercise and you have a limited time, you want to get the work done and at the same time allow that gut instinct to have its day under the sun. You want to allow it to kind of do whatever it wants to do, but at the same time
Yes.
you are in charge. The scientific mind is in charge. The gut instinct is what your heart does. The scientific mind is what your mind does. And the two coming together, you will be able to produce an academic exercise that warrants attention. Some of the things you mentioned, you said um, the effects of cyberbullying, how it affects a person's decision making, how it affects a
Mm.
person's mental health. So that's the core of research in literature. We are not changing policies. We're not discovering a new strategy to mitigate cyberbullying, but we are raising awareness. We're
Mm.
raising consciousness. That's our core business. Through this research, you raise awareness on the impact of
Yes.
cyberbullying and how these stories, they are well-known stories, right? Stories that have been read and are accepted or well accepted within the young adult communities, for instance, which means they must feel that it resonates with them. The readers must feel that these stories echo some of the things I have experienced or some of the things people I know, my friends, have experienced, right? So that is one of the big picture, if you like. What we're doing is raising awareness, right, on the
Mhm.
issue of whatever issue that you are focusing on lah. In this case,
Mhm.
cyberbullying. Okay, so so your first task, Bilanti, your
Yeah.
first task would be to go online and explore. First of all, explore what works of fiction, what stories have been published or produced. It could be film. You could choose to do on film, a film about cyberbullying, or you could choose to do a novel about cyberbullying. Poems and short stories, it would be more challenging, so I wouldn't recommend poems and short stories. You can if you want to, but with
Mhm.
poems, you need a few, whereas if you have one
Mhm.
story, it's a lot easier because it's compact. So there is a beginning, a middle, and an end. There is a kind of rising action, the character development. So there's a lot of things you can do with a story. that
Mm-hmm.
a short story or a poem might be limited. You need a few more short stories or a few more poems before you
Right.
can discuss this issue. Whereas if you have one novel or one film, it's a lot more compact, it's easier. Okay, so
Okay.
your first task would be to do a search on the types of novels that are available. So we've got seven here, and these seven fall within a particular category of genre called young adult fiction. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so not sure whether you're familiar with the genre. So when we talk about young adult, this category. So when we talk
Yeah.
about young adult, there is a particular category, a group. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean the readers are young adult. It means the stories are about young adult.
Adults.
Okay,
Okay.
maybe the readers can be adult. The readers can be mature readers, but
Mm-hmm.
the writers also do not need to be young adult. So the writer and the reader might not be young adult, but the story revolves around a group of basically teenagers. Okay, so for instance, the Harry Potter series, the Hunger Games, the a few other young adult, very well known young adult, even
Mm-hmm.
Divergent series. These are
Yeah.
not about old people or mature people or adults, full grown adults, but they are read by adults as well. Okay, so
Right.
just to distinguish young adult fiction, the stories, the characters revolves around characters who are around 12 to 18. So this definition is a little bit too simplified, I feel. Like it says here,
Yeah.
young adult fiction is category of fiction written for readers 12 to 18 years old, but that's not necessarily the case,
Mm-hmm.
because studies show that women, even mature adult women specifically, they love to read they love to read young adult fiction, right?
Yeah.
So it's not young adult for young adult. It's more stories are about young adult, you know.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, and another thing to kind of like make a distinction is when you bring in cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is not something that happens only to teenagers.
Yeah.
It can also happen in the adult world, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's harassment there, there's abuse, there's so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about the definition of cyberbullying itself needs to be unpacked. So one of the things you will do in your research, you will explore the operational definition.
Oh yeah.
So another way to make our study scientific is to have a parameter. When you are using the word cyberbullying, what does it mean? What are the parameters of cyberbullying? If somebody calls you out online and says on the social media and says says something disparaging, something demeaning towards you, is that cyberbullying, or does it need to have a lot of people calling you out on that, or a lot of people making you feel a certain negative way before it's cyberbullying? Say a well-known figure says something nasty online on the Twitter or whatever. Is that
Mm-hmm.
cyberbullying, or must that have any effect on the individual? Maybe their business is affected because of it. Maybe their studies are affected because of it. So does cyberbullying have any implication beyond the use of negative words? So we need to understand that. So when you operationalize it, we need to understand what it means. So it says here, this is a simple definition. When you do your
Mm-hmm.
research, you have to be more detailed. So it says here,
Okay.
cyberbullying is a serious form of victimization that exposes juveniles. So the age there is clear. Juveniles. Juveniles are basically teenagers, adolescents,
Mhm.
right? So that exposes juveniles to a variety of harassment, ridicule, stalking behavior. A common operational definition of cyberbullying in sociology and criminology. So these are the two disciplines.
Mm.
Okay. So in your chapter 3, when we explore your theoretical and conceptual framework, you are going to explore it from only these two lenses. For instance, I'm just
Okay.
giving an example here, yeah?
Alright.
From sociology and criminology, not from psychology, not from cultural studies, not from gender studies, not from so many different other theories. So
Mhm.
this definition only uses two theoretical frameworks, sociological and criminological.
Mm.
And the definition, the operational definition, is based on the idea that cyberbullying is an electronic form of face-to-face bullying. But even that is not clear. Like, but what is face-to-face bullying? What is
Yeah.
victimization? If somebody says something at school and says something nasty to you, that's a kind
Mhm.
of victimization. But what does serious form of victimization means? Because these words are all loaded, right?
Mm.
So then you have to understand the legal definition.
Alright.
Okay, when can a person take legal action? Right? When can a person take
Mhm.
a legal action? When is it serious? So another thing, right, another thing, operational definition. Um, okay, another thing that you will also explore when you do your literature review is what are the different manifestations of cyberbullying? What ways does it manifest? So, for instance, examples of cyberbullying would be aggressive behavior, which is rude, offensive, insulting, hateful, teasing comments to harm other individuals. So for instance, when you post something on your social media and somebody says, wow, show off, is that considered cyberbullying? Is that teasing comments to harm other individuals on social media? So it's a fine line. We need to clearly understand the operational definition as well as the concept of cyberbullying so that both the victim and the perpetrator understands. That means the one who's doing the cyberbullying knows this is what I'm trying to do. I'm
Yeah.
trying to I'm trying to be rude and offensive and insulting and hateful because I want to put that person in his place or her place. And the victim also understand that's what that person is doing to me. The person is victimizing me, is being offensive to me. That means they know, right? So
Mhm.
so so we need to explore because the word cyberbullying can have a lot of impact. Implications is very vast, right?
Mhm.
So the first task, your first task um, is to do that, to go online, to just basically have fun. Just go online, ask these kinds of questions. What is cyberbullying? What's the operational definition? Whose definition? Like maybe have scholars that
Yeah.
you can cite. That's the first part. So you need to do a literature review on cyberbullying. That's the first part. The second part is to do a to just do a survey online. What novels, stories deal with this theme of cyberbullying, right? Um,
Okay.
you may want to kind of like just do a like a survey, a quick survey from say 2000 to 2020, or you may want to look at the 20th century stories as well. You get to choose, but for now, don't limit yourself. Just explore, go out there and explore online. Seeing as you have a lot of time at your disposal, you get to kind of enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
Um, but by next week, so I'm going to only give you 1 week,
Okay.
which means by next week, maybe Wednesday or Thursday, I
Mm-hmm.
want a report. I want you to kind of like come back and report to me so that you can start working on the next part of your research.
Okay.
So the way I'm going to supervise you is I'm not going to ask you to write chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Not going to do that. What I'm going to ask you to do is to find previous studies done on cyberbullying in literature, in works of fiction, in stories,
Mm-hmm.
and find the gap. That's the primary purpose of this exercise, is to know what other people have done. When we do literature review, that's what we're doing. We want to know what other people have done in terms of research in this area, and we want
Mm-hmm.
to be able to identify the gap. Okay, so people have been talking about all these issues, but no one has spoken about this one issue that I'm interested in. That's what I'm going to study. Okay,
Right.
that's the challenge lah. So for the
Mm-mm.
next month, from now, 20th, 21st of October until say 21st of November, for the next month, that's what we're going to do. We're going to basically work on your literature review chapter, which is chapter 2. But I'm not going to
Okay.
ask you to write anything. I'm just going to ask you to keep coming back and present to me your ideas, your thoughts, your ideas, your thoughts, right?
Okay.
And once
All right.
you are happy with what you want to say, you've got all the ideas, then you can write it down.
Okay. All
Yeah. So
right.
every time we meet, you're just going to present your thoughts. Okay. Any questions?
Um, at the moment, no. So wait, I do. Basically, our meeting is to every. Is it every week or is it
We
once
play it
every?
by ear. We play it by ear. Say for
Okay. All
instance,
right.
I've given you this short task, so I want to
Mm-hmm.
meet you next week. But
Okay.
if I gave you a more extended task, I might give you 2 weeks, I might give you 3 weeks. So it basically all depends on how much work I've given you.
All right.
If I
Okay.
gave you a more extensive work, I will give you a longer period of time, right? But even then, say next week, you want to do something else, you want to work on something, and you feel like, I would like to do this work on my own first, then we can always push it to the following week. But
All
at
right.
this early stage, I would say it's best to meet more regularly to kind of just
Mm-mm.
get the ideas going. Once you know what you are looking for your literature review, you probably take maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks to develop your literature review before you come and see me, because you need to read a lot.
Yeah.
Right now, it's just a simple online survey or search. But once you start to read the literature review and you want to digest it, you want to know what this article is about, and how does it suit, how does it fit with my research, that will take
Mm-hmm.
time. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So for now, I would say we will meet maybe once a week. But once you know what you're doing, I will allow you more time to explore on your own. But at the end
All
of the
right.
day, Bilanti, at the end of the day, you are developing yourself as an independent researcher, which means you will not need my thoughts and ideas as much, because you will begin to rely on that gut instinct that you talked about,
Yeah.
right? So that's what we want to develop, and hopefully these skill sets, you will take it to the next level. Either you want to do a master's and later on a PhD, or you use the same skill sets when you go to the industry and you work with some company. You bring those skills with you, the ability to be an independent researcher, to ask the questions, to explore, to go online, to search for it, to be able to write a report without the supervisor telling you what needs to be done. That's the skill you're developing right now.
Okay. All
Okay?
right. Yeah. So I think that's just my question. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So
So now last thing before we end, when do we want to meet for next week?
I think we can meet the same day, same time if there's no, you know, meetings or anything that you have to attend. Like,
Next week, 28th. Okay,
mm-hmm.
28th looks fine. I have a morning, I have a 9 o'clock meeting, but after that, I'm done. I'm free. We can meet at, are you okay with meeting at 10:30 next week?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Okay,
I'm okay with that.
okay. So I'm gonna send you an email. Whereabouts are you from? Are you from Sabah or Sarawak?
Sarawak. Yeah.
Do you have families here?
Yeah, I'm staying with my relative at the moment, but they're off work, so
But that means you are in Peninsula Malaysia lah.
yeah.
Right now you're in Peninsula Malaysia lah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. I've sent you the Google invite for next week's session.
Okay, thank you.